Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I am the Executive Director of New Shelves Books, and we are here for Free Advice Friday. We are every Friday where we get together to talk about publishing, book marketing, pretty much anything that an author might run into. We do take questions live at newshelves.com/FAF. You can join us on Zoom, or we take them by email at info@newshelves.com. And we are going to jump in. It looks like we have a question already on our Q&A box. So Cynthia is asking, as an independent publisher, how can I get around the exorbitant print cost? A book club purchased 36 books from Ingram. Total royalties over $500 with a 55% discount. Print cost is $411. What gives? That, I'm afraid, is the game of publishing. It is high quantity and low. I mean, you don't make a lot per unit. That's simply how it works. You don't make a lot per unit. Now, what you can do is if you are a publisher and you're marketing to book clubs or to schools or somewhere where you would be selling bulk, one option you may consider is doing direct sales for large quantities. So if you are looking to purchase 20 books or more, please contact the publisher directly and we offer a steep discount. And you can offer a discount more than what they get from, ordering even on wholesale, and you still make more money because you're not paying out extra royalties to Ingram. So that's an option to kind of up your royalty intake. And to do some direct sales. It does mean that you personally have to order copies from Ingram and ship that box from Ingram because you order your author copies, which makes them less expensive. But the name of the game in publishing is quantity over individual royalty, because you're only going to make $1 or $2 per book. That is how it works. And it's all about selling more. All right. I had a question about our festivals and things starting to open back up, and the answer is yes. We are seeing festivals open back up. We're seeing book fairs open back up. And then the question was, is it a good idea to be a part of a book fair? And my answer is usually a book fair may or may not do wonderfully for you. Sometimes you'll have a lot of people coming over and buying, but it's really great exposure. Just know that book fairs and things are usually like an all-day thing. Bring a friend because you may be sitting around. It can be really good exposure. I would say if that book fair is geared towards your genre or local specifically, it could be a really great way to get your name out there. Now, if you are a Oregon author and you're getting calls from a Tucson book fair asking if you want your book listed at Tucson book fair, unless your book is set in Arizona or something like that, or the group going out there, I don't think I'd necessarily invest in that. But if you are in Oregon and there's an Oregon book fair, absolutely jump on that. I think that can be a great idea. Just know that sales are just not predictable. People who have children's books tend to sell more books at book fairs because kids see, kids want, parents buy, whereas adults tend to browse a little bit more. But people are there with cash in hand to impulse buy typically if they're at a fair or a festival like that. So we are very excited to see those back up and running. We're seeing some back up in person, but should you invest in them all? No. Should you maybe find a couple locally that are fit for you, for your work? Absolutely, I think that's an option. All right, Richard is asking about the Nation for advertising. I can't say that I'm completely familiar with them, Richard. The Nation. Can you tell me about the Nation a little bit more? Is that that's a magazine, isn't it? It's a magazine. I cannot tell you much about that. I can tell you in general, Liberal Left magazine, about 100 years old. I can tell you that people who read magazines still really read them. People who like print. However, I will say that you're typically going to reach a little bit of an older demographic with that kind of magazine. So it depends on your book. I do know they do review books. They're still old school. They probably want that book in print and then they'll review books. And if the magazine reviews books, I think that could be a great way to get in front of your audience. I would just make sure that it's very targeted. So for you, for instance, Richard, I know that your one book is kind of, it's got some political thoughtfulness and history and things. So it may be a really good fit there. So anytime we're looking at magazines or reviews, I always ask, is it going directly to the reader that you want and will it convert? So for example, if that magazine, I would no way do general fiction, but if you have political fiction, if you have something that's on there, I would consider it. $500 for a weekly newsletter. So if it's $500, I'd be looking at how many books you'd have to sell, what to break even, what kind of exposure you are going to get, and what, like, how many people does it send out to? Is it, because I can be like, yeah, it's $500 to do this, but I'm going to reach 500 people. Well, then that's kind of expensive. If it's targeted to book readers, that makes more sense. I think that's great. If you have sent me an email about that, I have not seen it, but if you have it, send me that and I'll look at it for you, because again, it's something that's so targeted to your book. Yeah, send me an email with the specs and the information, because this is the thing, you guys, is that when we look at advertising, and if it's a good idea, if it's a good fit, it's not a good fit for everybody. You really have to look at your goals, your book, and what you're willing to put in and what you hope to get out of it. So what may be a great deal for Richard and his book and his goals could be an awful idea for Tara and her book. There's no blanket great advertising. And I will say there are some programs that tend to do well for everyone, like Amazon ads or Facebook ads, but even Facebook ads, I don't recommend them for everybody. I think that it depends on your individual book. But send that over to me, Richard, and I will get back to you. I'll take a look for you specifically. All right, Cheryl, related to book fairs, what about ALA's annual conference? IBPA lets you display a single title for $225. Would you recommend for a first-time nonfiction author? I do think that if your market is the library market, the ALA conference is where a lot of librarians go. They look, they kind of hang out and look for books. So I think that can be a great opportunity. I will say IBPA does actually hang out at their display table and they talk it up and all of that kind of thing. Most of the time, I will say, if I have the choice of displaying a book or being there and displaying a book, you are going to get so much more for your money and so much more value if you are there, because just having your book displayed is nowhere near the same as making a connection. So if for your book in particular, Cheryl, that's nonfiction, that very much fits the library market, it may be worth a $225 investment, but just know having a display doesn't mean that it's an interactive display that someone's pitching. It means that your book's there and it's there with other books and people are going to browse and see it. So think of it like a billboard. If you are willing to pay for the exposure, to pay for the billboard, then it's a great idea. But if not, then maybe not. I'm full of these answers today where I'm like, it could be awesome, but it could not be awesome. And that is book marketing there. All right, if you guys have questions, please feel free to just drop them in the Q&A. But I had a request specifically to talk about Facebook and Facebook ads and to show you guys how to build an audience. So I am going to do that. So Facebook ads are not great for every book and every author. However, I really do love Facebook ads for anyone who's on Kindle Unlimited, especially if you're on Kindle Unlimited with a series. Facebook browsers are not necessarily ready to go plunk down money for a book, but if you have a book that they can read for free on Kindle, you're more likely to up your conversions. And I will say that Facebook users tend to be reading a lot of mysteries, a lot of romance. They tend to be a little bit older, 30 and up tends to be where you hit your market there. And also anyone who's selling children's books, those can do super well on Facebook. So Facebook ads are not for everybody, as with everything, but I do think Facebook offers some really great opportunities. And while you can spend hundreds of dollars on Facebook a day or a week, I usually recommend start with $1 or $2 a day. You don't have to be super expensive to get started. You just need to have a steady presence. But the real kicker here is that it doesn't matter how much you spend if you're not targeting the right audience, which is why I think it's so important that we build our audience on Facebook. And I get questions all the time about this. How do I build my audience? How do I know what's good and what's not? So I am going to go ahead and build an audience today. I will have you guys watch. If there are any requests for a specific audience, drop it in the chat box and we'll just go live with that. Otherwise, I will pick an audience at random and we will make a readership. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen here. Predictably, I have way too many tabs open, because that's what I do. Just 1 second. Oh, that's a good one. Parents of middle grade readers. I like it, Scott. Let's do it. If I, I'm gonna control my tabs and then we'll do it. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Facebook. I really should have so many fewer tabs up here. It would be easier. I think I'm going to share the right thing. We'll see. There we go. I did it. Hey, Mom, I did it. All right. We've got questions popping up. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. All right, let's start with parents of middle grade readers. So let's say that I have a book that is for middle grade readers and I would like to run ads, but I need to target it. First things first, to run ads, you need to have a page. The difference of a page is, let's use Barpinski as an example. Barpinski is a friend. We are connected as friends, and you can see it says friends, and we have this little friend button. You have to request to be part of each other's circle. But Barb also has a public page, and a public page is more like a website. And you'll see here, it says friend, and then on the bottom, it says author. Her author page or public page is where she must run ads from. So the first step is making sure that you have a public page to run your ads. And when you go here, I'm a admin on this one, so I should have picked a different one. But when you go here, it's more of a public page with interactions and that kind of thing. So step one is simply making sure that you have a public page. I am going to go in to, let's see, we'll go into the new shelves page this time. All right, once we're here, you want to go to the ad center. More than that, we want to go to audiences. See on here on the left where it says audiences. The great thing about a Facebook audience is once you create it, it stays forever and ever. And I super appreciate that because it just makes it easier. All right. So you can see I've got a couple here already. We are going to create a new audience. And we are going to name it middle grade books. All right. So then we kind of have to profile all the things they tell you not to do to make assumptions and profile people. We're going to do it for advertising. So when we're looking at advertising, I'm going to bet 18-year-olds are not buying middle grade books because they're older than the age read for the reading age, but they are younger than typically the age of people who have middle grade readers. Typically, middle grade reader parents are going to be 30 or older. So we're going to start with 30, and then we're going to go all the way up past 30 because after 30, we may be hitting parents, we may be hitting grandparents, aunties, uncles, what have you. So 30 and up is going to be our demographic. And parents come in all genders. So we may have men, women, or anything in there. So we are just going to have all and 30 and up. Now, if I was targeting specifically women's fiction or something that really had a strong women, while some men do read historical romance and things like that, it tends to be a woman-dominated market. So I may target women specifically for that. So you kind of have to, again, get into the mindset of your reader. We know we are probably not going to reach middle grade kids on Facebook, so we want to reach their parents and grandparents. I always start with the United States only. The reason why I do that is the United States has different rules than other countries about how we can target and who we can target. United States is kind of free for all. So that's where I target, unless your book is directly tied to, or your author is tied to a different country. For example, if your author is setting their books in Denmark or they live in London, then we want to target those areas as well because there's a strong connection. And so we're going to do that. I'm just, again, going to leave it with the United States only for my purposes. And then we get to start adding demographics, interest, and et cetera, and et cetera. I will tell you, the Facebook platform is a little frustrating to work with. It's a little persnickety, but once you do this, you save it. So again, getting into the head of middle grade readers. We can type in all sorts of things and Amazon will tell us whether or not they have it pinged. So we can actually target parents. We can target parents with adult children, 18 to 26 years old. We can do parents with teenagers, 13 to 17, a little bit outside of the demographic there. And this is what I mean. You see how I scrolled down and then Facebook took the bar away? Pain. But parents with preteens, 9 to 12-year-olds, well, that's probably pretty close to our market. So we're going to click on that. We want to target these people who have self-identified as parents with preteens. We are also going to go with parents with early school children that are 6 to 8, because we want to target from like 6 to 12 years old, because sometimes parents do read to their kids. That's still a thing. Then we're going to think, okay, what other authors are my readers perhaps reading? So Roald Dahl is probably a really good one. So I'm going to pick that. We are again finding our comps because we are saying if they like his books, they will probably like my book. So I want to get my book in front of those readers. Yes, and whether you're doing this here or in the Meta business tool, creating audiences is very similar. Same process, same overall. So, all right, I need a couple more because you can see my potential audience size. It says it's good. It's nice and defined. It's in the green. And even there, it's over 6 million, and that's defined. So again, we want to stay right in there, but it may go either side. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we want to keep adding, because why 6 million people sounds like a lot of people, we want to make sure that we have a really big reach here. So we may also want to go for, I'm showing my age here, but Beverly Cleary, if I could spell it, it would really help me here. Don't judge me. Whoops, what did I just, okay, not showing up. And sometimes it won't show up. Sometimes it'll be like, hey, we don't have that. So like if I try to target, I'm trying to think of an author who's like big, but not that big. If I try to target, well, let's go for Sarah J. Maas. So she's big enough that she's got an audience. This is not middle grade, but she's got an audience. But if I try to do, let's do Hank Ryan. Now, Hank Philippi Ryan has a large following. She's got thousands of followers, but she doesn't make it on here. Facebook does what Facebook does. So whatever their criteria are, it's got some random things, it doesn't have others. If they don't have the thing you're looking for, don't stress about it. Just go to a different one and keep on moving and keep on building. So we may also say we want to target middle grade teachers. We think that teachers would like this. And look, That was a bust. No suggestions. That's okay. Let me just try teachers. Here we go. Scholastic teachers, PBS teachers, teachers pay teachers, piano, National Teachers College. So you kind of look and see, is there anything in here that makes sense for my book? And maybe you find something, maybe you don't. Maybe you say government employee, like there's all sorts of things. Librarian, Goodwill librarian, library science, school library association. Maybe I think that would be a really good one to target. And again, it added, you know, a couple 100,000, another 100,000. What's that? Let's say I add something that's too big and it puts me outside the line. Let's do Justin Bieber. And still at 32 million, I'm still defined. All right, Kevin Costner, let's do that. And it's still defined. My goodness. I need someone more, I need more famous people, and I'm hopelessly outdated. Let's see, maybe Kardashian. All right, let's try this. It's still defined. Eventually, I swear it goes out of the defined set, in which case you want to narrow. But let's just use this anyway. So we've built our audience. We know that we have a lot of people, but we're like, well, that's great and all, but we want to make sure that we not only have a good audience, we want to make sure that it's more specific. We want to exclude or narrow. So let's say we want to narrow our audience. I want people that match these things, but I want them to also match, or actually, let's do this. I'm going to take out my parents with preteens, and I'm just going to pick the interests. And then it's going to say it must also match parents. So they should have all these interests, but they should also be parents. And again, I'm going to do this little bar, and then it's going to drop me. So frustrating. All right, parents. All right, parents with preteens. So look down here at the bottom. It's currently saying we're at 62,700,000. When I do this, it dropped it all the way down to 1,800,000 because it took all of these things and it's like playing matchmaker where you make it work together. Thank you, J.K. Rowling's. I blanked. And I have middle grade readers. I should be ashamed of myself. But so you can see how you narrow it that way because it's saying, okay, you have to like all these things, but you also have to be parents preteens. Well, let's say, all right, I came back and realized I should have put in J.K. Rowling or Harry Potter. Well, I'm going to add it in. And it went up 100,000. Maybe I also want to add in Harry Potter specifically. Film series, absolutely. And it goes a little bit more. So the goal is to get this defined audience where it's a good match for your book. This is where you need to know your comps and you need to know what the people are looking at reading. Also keep in mind, we are not necessarily targeting the middle grader, we're targeting their parents and grandparents. So maybe we are also going to just target grandparents. And believe me, it's crazy. There are things that track this, like National Grandparents Day and my grandparents and all sorts of things. So what you're doing is you're trying to think, if I was a grandparent, where would I be? It's like when you lose something. And that's what you're doing until you get an audience that's nice and defined and it feels good. So I'm going to get rid of Kevin Costner and Justin Bieber. I don't know, my middle grader doesn't listen to Justin Bieber, but maybe I'm, again, maybe I'm outdated. I like to stay in my little corner of the world sometimes. We'll put Rowling back. Oops. There we go. We'll put Rowling back and we kind of get this size. I personally like to see it in the millions, not high millions, but I like to see it 3 to 6 million because I feel like that's a good reach. And then once you get it, you save it. That's safe so that when we go to create an ad now, we have this audience that we can just build from really easily. So if I then go to promote and I want to create an ad, there are 3 different types of ads. You can boost a post. I personally call this a front end ad. This means anything that you've already posted to your page, you can hit the boost button and it will share it and spread it further. So for instance, go to Facebook and let me go to new shelves. We could look at, old pictures of my kids, but I think you guys have better things to do. And so here, there are some things usually that say, hey, boost post. We can tell more people about this. And when you do that and you hit boost post, you have the option to run an ad. And again, I call this a front end ad because you're using a graphic or a post that's on the front end. You actually put it out to your page and then you're going to boost it even further. You can have it automatic where it kind of just based on your settings, it'll do what they think is best. I don't like the automatic feature. It'll have people sending you messages and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, no, I just want people to go to my website. I want them to go buy the book or sign up for the program, whatever it is. So I personally tend to do get more website visitors. You could get more messages. If you wanted a flood of messages from people, it will send to people who are more likely to respond with messages. So that's an option. There is get more engagement. If you want to post, you just want it to look super popular, you want likes, you want smiley faces or whatever it is, then you may do that and that ups your engagement on the platform, which means people are more likely to see your post in the next couple of days, or there's a lead form or get more calls. So again, it depends on what you're doing. I typically do get more website visitors. And then you have the option to change your button. So book now, learn more, shop now. Typically, if you're doing a book ad, you're going to do learn more or shop now, so that you have the option. And then your link right here should, unless you are doing direct sales from your website, this should not go to your website. This should go to your book link on Amazon. It should go to your book link on Barnes and Noble or somewhere, but it should lead to a direct sales link. The fewer clicks you have, the more conversions you will get. So make sure that you do that. And then look, oh, we have our audiences here. So I can have a smart audience, which they think they will just kind of decide on, or I can use my middle grade audience, and that's who it's going to share to because it's saved. And obviously I'm not going to run this because that would be a mess, wouldn't it? And then you choose how many days you want this to run. 4 days is kind of the minimum for Facebook to get their algorithms moving and liking your ad. I personally like to set ads that run for 2 weeks or more. And again, you set your, let's say I want to do 14 days, and I have the option of a total budget. So if I do a budget of $20, it's going to do just over $1.50 a day. If I probably did that wrong. I did that wrong in my head, but over $1 a day. Or I can make it go more. And it says this is approximately how many people I'll reach, 84 to 241 people, and I'll get 5 to 25 links a day, click links. If I do $60, it ups my possibilities because it's going to show it to more people. We know the more people you show it to, the more people you have a chance to get a response from. And so then we simply go down and we're going to pick our payment and we're going to approve it and make it go live. And then we have ads that are up and they are running. So again, this is a boosted ad. It comes from the front end. I call them a front end ad, but boosted post is what it actually is. I am going to leave. I do not want to stay. So that is a boosted post. That was a long way around. There are automated ads which kind of just adjust based on what you're doing. This may be good if you are a single author and your ad is all focused on you. It does not work for me. I work in too many different author accounts with different genres and different audiences. So I don't really do these ever because it does not work for me personally. You may tinker with these if you are on, doing exactly that, but you are It's like an auto ad on Amazon. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. They do use the brain and the data to make changes, but just know it's also part of marketing is very intuitive, and it's very there's so many automated systems and they help us and they're wonderful, but there's something about a personal touch that just makes a difference. So try them both, see what you like. We're going to do this where we're just going to create an ad. Again, you typically want to send it to a website. We're going to click save here. Oh, right. And then we change here. We want to make sure that whatever description we're using, it's got some excitement. It's got some call to action. It's got a hook. Just like our Amazon sales page, we've got seconds to attract people. So we don't want to just say, New Shelves helps those with good books gain a solid footing. We do, but that's boring. That's not what we want in an ad. We want to say, are you ready to sell more books? We're going to have a hook. We're even going to properly format it. And then we're going to say, great marketing copy right here, which I'm not going to think of on the fly. But then, not only that, we have to look at our ad. Is this enticing? Does this show what we want it to show? People on Facebook and on social media are really trained to look for images. That's what we go on for, right? We want to see people's kids. We want to see your cute dog. We are trained to look for images. Graphics can be great. However, it looks like an ad before you ever get there. Sometimes using a stock image will increase your clicks. It will increase the interest because it looks more like what you're trained to want on social media. So I really recommend using stock photos. For me, that may look like using a stock photo here, and maybe I'm going to just type in author. Maybe I have my own stock photo, but I can use theirs as well. So maybe I want to use this typewriter, or maybe this person. Again, we are trained to look for images. That is what people are drawn to. So I highly recommend that you at least try stock imaging when you are running an ad. Let's say I want to do this one. New chapter. So again, this just looks, it looks kind of like something that might draw the attention of people who are writing and selling more books. Who knows? And you can look for more exciting things, but in the interest of time. Then I'm going to look at it and say, how can I punch this up even more? How can I get people's attention? One of the things I really like to do is I like to use a text generator that can change my text. I use it, capitalizemytitle.com. And this text generator allows me to take my headline. Remember that, are you ready to sell more books? I can pop it right in here, and it will give me HTML format for bold, bold italics, bold cursive. I do not recommend bold cursive or something like that. It will be hard to read. You want something that's really going to stand out and get people's attention like that. Maybe that's a good option. Or maybe I just want to go classic. I just want to go bold. Then I'm going to do it here. Click this copy button, go over to Facebook. Now I'm just going to replace it. And it updates it, and it actually shows on Facebook. There we go. We've got a nice bold headline that just calls out, and it's a little bit more interesting. So these are the things that we want to consider. If we were scrolling by, would this get our attention? So I'm going to say, all right, I'm happy with that. Then I can actually change my headline. So up here on my ad, my ad where it says home New Shelves books. Well, it already says newshelves.com. It says New Shelves here. Could I use this in a better way? Could I say get started today? Or could I say read free on Kindle if my books are on Kindle Unlimited? Give them a call to action. Make it exciting. Don't leave it blank. It's a waste of space. And then apply now. That sounds a little bit scary. It's not like I'm interviewing. Well, I mean, I kind of do interview clients to see if we should work together, but I want it to be inviting. So maybe I'm going to say learn more. It's just a invitation to learn more. Or maybe I'm giving away a freebie PDF and I'm going to put the download button, whatever it may be. So then you end up with this ad that looks like this. We've got a nice bold call out, we've got interesting imaging, and we've got a call to action with our button. And then we have our beautiful saved audience, which we can just jump on. We can say people who like my page. Maybe I'm trying to get the attention of people who are already on my page. Maybe I'm trying to get the people in my local area, or I've targeted Downton Abbey recently, and The French Blue is one of Richard's books. Or maybe I'm just going to say new shelves, which is people who are books and authors and publishers and things along those lines. And then I just sent out my terms. And this one, important to note, this says daily budget. So rather than a overall budget, I'm setting a daily budget. So it's important you notice that. It will tell your total budget over here. But if I thought this was still a total budget, and I was like, yeah, I'll do $25 for my total budget, and then suddenly I'm spending $175. Don't laugh, but I've totally done that before to myself when I'm not paying attention. So something to pay attention to. And then of course you can see how many people you'll reach and the link clicks that you will get. So that is a fast and furious Facebook overview for ads. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see more if you guys have more questions. I see chatter over here. So let me see. Hi, Kevin. It's good to see you again. Let's see. All right, when I run Facebook ads, I usually get an actual engagement of half to a third of the low end of Facebook's projected reach. Am I doing something wrong? Walt, if you are getting much lower, I would say you need to look at your imaging and you need to look at your marketing copy. Your book is then probably being shown to that many people, but is it grabbing their attention and getting the engagement? The other question I would ask is your audience big enough? If you have a really, I mean, we may say 500,000 people sounds like a ton, but think about this, 500,000 people who fit your demographics, when are they online? Are they all, just because they're in the Facebook algorithms, does that mean that they're online during your ad being run? That's why I recommend reaching for that 3 to 6 million mark. Let's see. Let's see. Do you know that Facebook marketers sell this type of content? I'm sure they do. I know there are classes about this. Maybe I'll make one day, but you guys, you're here every week. And when you guys ask me to show you how to do something, again, I know it's quick, it's fast and furious and messy because it's unplanned, but when I can share with you guys, I promise to do it as much as possible. All right. Whoops, I'm still going down to my chat, so hang on. Again, it's messy, but that's all right. I never sold books in Facebook ads. I did many years ago. It totally, I mean, you have to know that you're reaching your actual market. You must target your market. You must hit your audience, and not all books should be in Facebook ads. They just shouldn't. Nonfiction books tend to kind of do well because they fit a real need. Literary fiction, meh, unless you're on Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited books is where it's at with Facebook ads, because you're not asking someone scrolling Facebook to spend money. You're asking them to go to Kindle Unlimited and download something that they already have access to. You're much more likely to get conversions in children's books also, because we can all be convinced to spend money for our kids and grandkids, right? Like, it's some magic that they have. I'm waiting for, like, is there an age where they outgrow that, where you're like, oh, well, they want it? I'm hoping one day it'll like turn and they'll be like, well, mom really wants it. We should just buy her that. Let's see. Where did I find those stock images? The stock images are provided by Facebook. So when I went in there and I picked my imaging, and I can upload my own, but when I hit the stock image button, Facebook pulls them. They're from Shutterstock and they're supposed to be royalty free. So you don't have to go pay for them or research them. It's a service that is provided through Facebook, which is amazing. They are free. You do have to kind of search and use, you know, different things in language. So I think I just did author, but is this call being recorded? I do record all our calls. Our Free Advice Fridays are always posted on YouTube as a replay. I really try to get those up on Monday. I've been a little bit slow the last couple of weeks, but typically our replays do go up on YouTube on Mondays, and they are accessible to you for free. I do super appreciate when people like and follow our posts because it means they're shown to more people. All right. I know we've got some questions in the questions box as well. Let me see. You mentioned a PDF download. How does that work? So if I was giving away a download, or maybe I was just trying to get reviewers and I'm sending people to a book funnel link, or I was trying to build my mailing list. I do this with one of my clients. I had him write a short story that is a prequel to his series. So he wrote this short story. I put it up on BookFunnel, and we now run ads that say, download a free book. And we target it towards that. We lead directly to BookFunnel, and BookFunnel allows these people to put in their email address, sign up for his newsletter, and download his free PDF or ebook. He's gotten over 400 people on his mailing list from this, from $1 a day on Facebook ads. BookFunnel has promos and things as well. I do downloads on my website. Sometimes when I am working to kind of reach more authors, I will say, hey, we have this free reviewer list on New Shelves. Come download it. I personally have it in my store. A lot of people will have a giveaway or a back end link on their website, and typically you're going to exchange an email address for that. So rather than paying for a book, they are paying, rather than paying with money, they're paying with their email address, and they're signing up for your newsletter, or so you can contact them. And so that is another way. It's all about your goals. What are you trying to get out of this? And it absolutely, you may have to play a little bit. You may have to find out what your goals are and what works for you. But like I said, Chris has grown his mailing list over 400 people with this one short story that we give away. And that short story leads into his series, which is currently a 6-book series with a 7-book coming out. When we started doing this, he's on Kindle Unlimited. His page reads have doubled in less than 2 months. I'm pretty sure that his page reads have just about doubled. And so it's not just getting someone on his mailing list. The mailing list is getting more readers, and those readers then are going through and they're buying his book. And so it's a long-term strategy. It's all about thinking long-term. Think about your goal. That's his goal. My goal is different. I want to get in touch with authors. So I would have a download that goes to my website, or maybe I'd draw people to my YouTube page because I want more people to like and follow my YouTube page. So I have more tools that I can use and advertise with there. It's all about what's your goal and how do we get you there. And then you have to test. Sometimes you're like, I have this great idea. It's going to work. It's going to be awesome. And then you set up your Facebook ad and it doesn't convert. It just doesn't work. And that's part of marketing too. Sometimes we're like, well, did I do it wrong? No. Part of marketing is having a great idea, executing it well, and failing. But what you do when it doesn't work is you take the data and you find out why. What does it tell you? It's like these little breadcrumbs that tell us something. Why doesn't that ad work? Was it the marketing copy? Was it the imagery? Did I not offer something juicy enough? Was I not giving them something that they wanted? Did my audience was it not big enough? And all the data kind of pulls together to tell you that. You just have to put on your little sleuthing hat, become Sherlock Holmes for the day, and kind of look at why, and then test again and see what the results tell you. And if you're super nerdy like me, that's exciting and it's very fun. I like my data. I think it's fun to look at. Would it be a good idea to use the same image on all your ads, like a brand or building a brand? If your brand is well known, sure. However, it looks like an ad. Are you trying to get engagement? Are you trying to get new people in? Or are you trying to get people who already recognize your brand to come and sign up for something? For example, if I've already got a giant brand, if I am a nail polish company and it's the OPI, I don't know if it's OP or OPI. I'm big on nail polish. So maybe that's my brand. And so people will come and they will click on my ad because they know my brand. Then heck yeah, I'm going to brand it, but I'm also going to use imagery. But if I'm starting out, maybe having a image lead in is better. You have to know your audience and you have to try both things. But I will say that something that is a brand, something that is a logo, looks like an ad. And people don't necessarily want to be sold to. They want to build a relationship. They want to trust. They want to be interested. And a brand and a logo isn't always interesting. So I think you should try different things, but I never think we should say, this is the image we're using. That's it. I'm done. Because then you never know what great things could come from trying new things. And I have done it. I have run ads with a book cover and with a stock image and seen which one got more interaction. In almost every single case, the stock image got more interaction and more conversions than the book image, because we are trained to look for real pictures. We like faces, we like smiles, we like that kind of feel. So it just depends again on your goals, and try it out. I mean, if you can set up an ad for $15 and try it out, and then set up another ad for $15 and try it out, do a book cover and do a stock image. For 30 bucks, you've got a wealth of information to see what might work better for your ads going forward, which I think is well worth the money if you've got that to kind of play with. Let's see. Yes, I did see. Everyone's talking about Brandon Sanderson's latest Kickstarter. He earned more than 20 million in 2 days for a book relaunch. I think it was Leatherbound Books that he was relaunching, and he earned over $20 million on Kickstarter to relaunch his book, which is awesome. That is awesome. Now he's a very established author. He's been doing this for a long time and he's got a big audience base. But hey, if it works, it works. I bet if J.K. Rowling did that with the Harry Potter stuff, she'd do it. So I have heard about that for sure. Kickstarter can be a moneymaker, I think, sometimes, especially if you already have a brand going for you and you have something special to offer. All right, you guys, secret books unpublished. See, there you go. It's something that people really want. You have to have something people want. It is the idea of supply and demand. It's not enough to just sell something. You have to sell something people want. Richard, I have not seen that. If you would please resend, I would appreciate that greatly. Send it over. I have time out today to make sure I answer any emails. So if you send it today, I'll get you a response today. Great. I will check and I will get that to you. It's still sending and receiving, but I will check. And it was, Linda, you're asking who it was. It was Brandon Sanderson, I think his name is. Yes, on Kickstarter. I'll find the link and I'll post it. It was this, I mean, it was this big thing. It was this huge Kickstarter where he earned a ton of money. Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter, and let me see if I can find here we go. I don't know if this is the best article. I will caveat by saying that it was just the top one on Google. So, you know, getting that SEO on Google matters. Here we go. Everyone. I want to send to everyone. Yeah, it's still going up. I mean, brilliant. It was brilliant marketing. He's making a lot of money. Good for him. I think, you know, that's what happens with marketing. Some people are hating on him. You know what? You can't hate on someone for winning a game. That's how I see it. Yeah, he's charging people and he's making a lot of money for it, but he's playing the game and he's playing it well. So, all right, you guys, it's right at 11. So I am going to hop off. I don't think I see any more questions. Richard, I will follow up with you directly and make sure that we get connected. I think we answered everything else. This replay, I will do my absolute very, very best to get this up by Monday on our YouTube. It's just youtube.com/newshelfsbooks. I hope you all have a great weekend. We will be back here next week, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you have questions, send them in advance, info@newshelves.com. If you like today's tutorial of Facebook ads and you want to see something else, please let me know. I will try to make it happen as long as I have the knowledge in my head and enough coffee to get going on that day. It's been great, you guys, and I will see you next week.